In the next 60 seconds, I'm going to show you my Manchester United dream squad costing around £500 million in total. But this is just the first episode in this series. For this series, I'm going to imagine that with the new Ineos regime taking over, I'm given total control over football operations, basically as a director of football but also as a manager. And I'm going to walk you through my 2-year project where my aim is to win the Premier League title with Manchester United by the end of the 25-26 season and the Champions League by the 27-28 season. In total, it would be a 5-year project. But if you can't wait until then to think about Manchester United winning the league, then why not go back in time over on Jersey FIFA and check out their retro Manchester United jerseys from the 2012-2013 season, the year Robin van Persie signed for United and was a difference maker in the title race. If you use code Atlantis at checkout, you'll also get a discount. A link will be in my Instagram bio, which will be linked in the description. So this is the outline of my dream Manchester United squad, probably only feasible over 2 summer transfer windows, and even then it would have to be an incredibly efficient transfer strategy, which I definitely think is possible, and we have seen teams do this before, and to be fair we can't really judge Ineos at the moment, and so every outcome could be a possibility. But I worked out that it would cost around £500 million, with United also able to raise around £250 to £300 million in player sales as well. So really not a ridiculous net spend from what United usually do. In goal, Andre Onana is still my starting keeper despite his rather astounding start, which is a definition of chaotic. But I really think there's a player in there when he finds his consistency. And to be fair, United have struggled with goalkeepers. I've got a video out on my Patreon where I go over the signing of Massimo Taibi in podcast format, over the top of some great David De Gea and Peter Schmeichel saves, so if you are interested, click the link in the description. You can also get a 7-day free trial. But I think Onana's different to Taibi, and I am confident that by this time next year, and certainly 2025, Onana will be considered one of the best keepers in the Premier League. I think he's the definition of a generational talent, a keeper who, like Ederson, will define this era in the Premier League, with David Raya Vicario at Tottenham and Alisson Becker of course as pretenders to their throne as well. But Onana, like Ederson, just has this natural, casual but relaxed style with immaculate technique, and really their passing and technical ability is so good that they essentially give you a man advantage in the build-up. But they could also do the same in the middle third, which could be crucial to breaking down a narrow, compact defensive unit, alongside helping to beat a high press further up the pitch. Because just think about it, with Onana or Ederson pushing up that high, United or City would constantly have an overload and a man free in a given area. Factor in Onana and Ederson's creativity from this deep position, with both being elite level passers of the ball, not just for goalkeepers, but even when compared to outfield players as well, and now you have a pretty effective attacking weapon. Now obviously Onana needs to cut those circus-like mistakes out of his game, but that should be easily solved as it's not down to his technique or natural athleticism, it's just concentration, which should improve as he gets more experienced at United. David Raya, Robert Sanchez and even Ederson as well have all been having issues this season, but I would argue that none of those three have pulled off the sort of match-saving saves that Onana has, with his 1v1 save against Chelsea being the most recent example. But also crucially, his FB Ref report shows some data that actually may surprise a few people. I'll come on to that in the next 60 seconds, but I should quickly say that despite still backing 100% Onana to be the starter number 1, I do think he needs quality and sustained competition, especially because Onana's also a player that could be missing for some African Cup of Nations. And so every other season or whenever it takes place, United are going to need a solid backup for those months anyway, even if Onana doesn't get injured. Maybe if United don't qualify for the Champions League next season and are in the Europa League, you could have a cup keeper, with Altay Banyinder playing as a cup keeper in the early parts of the Europa League and League Cup. But to be honest, I, like everyone else, has no idea if Banyinder will be even any good in this role, and so I may even recommend that United send him out on loan, given that he's still only 25 years old, which is relatively young for a keeper, and bring in a homegrown keeper like Jason Steele, who has showcased his capabilities in a team like Brighton, who routinely look to include the goalkeeper in their build-up phase. He's 33 years old, so would bring the experience, and I really just like the idea of having 2 of the 3 goalkeeper positions being homegrown to give you a bit more wiggle room in other positions. Here from his Premier League FBref report, we see that Onana ranks in the 76th percentile for his post-shot XG minus goals allowed, keeping out 0.23 more goals than expected per 90, showing that in the Premier League at least, Onana is one of the better shot stoppers statistically. But when we look at his Champions League FBref report, you see one of the biggest statistical disparities between two competitions in the same season from one player that you'll probably ever come across. Onana has a post-shot XG minus goals allowed rate of minus 0.48 goals per 90, ranking in the bottom 4% of all Champions League keepers this season. But I think that this shows that Onana in the Champions League is most likely just an anomaly over a certain period of a few games. And so that's why I'm not worried about him. He is a little erratic and unsettling at times, particularly when coming for crosses or when coming out to close down a 1v1. Yes, but I think he's pretty good in almost every area apart from concentration and consistency. Shot stopping, check, cross claiming, hesitance, but I will give it a check. Ball playing ability, a big check. Playing as a sweeper keeper, maybe something we could see more of with a higher line, but I definitely think Onana has it in his locker. He also has fantastic reflexes and a knack for performing in the big games, as he did in the Champions League final last season. In the next episode in this series I will be discussing the centre backs, but if you do want me to do a full analysis of Andre Onana in the Champions League final last season, let me know in the comment section and subscribe to the channel so you do get notified when and if it does come out.